I have my Physicians Formula Butter Blah. Hey guys, what is up? It is Karen, aka cakedbybabyk, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. We are doing another foundation review, and not just foundation. We are doing foundation and concealer. Today we're going to be testing out first impressions, demoing, wear testing the new Revlon Photoready Candid foundation. This is what it looks like, and of course the concealer. These are what the components look like, which I'm super intrigued by. I put out a poll on my Instagram story, and the majority of you guys said you wanted to see me review this, but let's go ahead and jump into the logistics of everything. I got my foundation for $10.99 at Ulta, and then I believe I got this for $6 or $7.99 at the same place. So this is the foundation. I have the shade 400 Macadamia. I will say when I went to go to Ulta to pick these up, I did swatch them, and when I pumped it out, there was a little bit of separation. So be mindful if you're purchasing this and you're using it for the first time, you might want to shake it up, because that's what I did and it seemed like it was fine. It has 0.75 fluid ounces, so less than the average foundation. The average foundation is about 1 fluid ounce. According to their website, it is a skin enhancing, natural looking foundation that delivers flawless finish all day long as it hydrates. So I'm guessing it's neither matte nor dewy. It's just, like I said, like an in-between natural coverage. You get medium coverage that feels weightless and looks like your best skin. Feels good with anti-pollution, antioxidant, and anti-blue light ingredients to protect your skin. Feels better without oils, parabens, phthalates, synthetic dyes, and harsh fragrances, and it is available in 31 makeup shades. And moving on to its partner, which is the concealer, I have the shade 30, and this is what it looks like. It says, this concealer with medium coverage camouflages dark circles and puff with a jolt of caffeine to help wake up tired skin. Interesting. It's also excellent at disguising blemishes and other things you'd rather not see. Feels good with a formula that includes a protective antioxidant along with anti-pollution and anti-blue light ingredients. Feels better without oils, parabens, phthalates, synthetic dyes, or harsh fragrances, making it ideal for delicate under eye skin and a great concealer for sensitive skin. It has a flexible doe foot for precision application, and it is available in 18 shades. So this side is with a sponge, and then this side is with a brush, but I did do a sponge layer on the bottom. So as you can see, it's pretty buildable. I still see some blemishes peeking through on the sponge side, but this one has 2 layers and it has a pretty buildable coverage. After initial application, I do have to say this really reminds me of my Hailey's Beauty foundation, just in consistency, because it is really thick and it's pretty full coverage. I was not expecting this to be that full coverage. Initial thoughts off the concealer, it's not the most full coverage concealer that I own, and I think I'm going to do another dollop and see how that applies. So she is buildable. I'm gonna go in with the brush on this side. About the same finish. I'm really impressed with these two products and how they're applying with the brush, because I usually hate how foundations look with the brush. Like, I don't know, I just do. All right, to set the face, I'm gonna use my Colourpop No Filter setting powder. You guys know I use this almost in every video to set my face just because it is so nice. But we're also using this today because it is a regular part of my makeup routine, so if we know that something goes wrong, I know it's not the powder, so we're just going to bake underneath the eyes. So we are now baking the face. You guys know that I like to do the rest of my face makeup during this time, and I like to usually show you how it goes on so we can see how it applies over top of the foundation. So we're going to bronze. I have my Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer, and we're just gonna take this and just bronze up the face. I don't powder in the areas that I want to contour and bronze, because I feel like it shows up better if you don't lay down powder first. And plus, we're gonna see how this sticks to the actual foundation. Oh, she's nice. Oh, and I also forgot to mention, before I added powder, it did seem to dry down a little bit and it wasn't too tacky, and I didn't have that much transfer on my fingers. You guys know when I do that test right after I apply it. Now I'm going to do everything else off camera, and I'll be back to give you my initial first impressions. All right, so this is how my face looks. I'm going for a more natural look today. So I'm gonna zoom you guys in so you can see how it looks on my face. This is the sponge side and then this is the more brush side, and honestly I feel like they both look exactly the same. My initial first thoughts on this foundation right here, I mean, I so far am loving it. I feel like it gives a really good coverage that's buildable, which you guys saw in me putting it on. I like how it looks good with a sponge or a brush, and it's very rare that I can find a foundation that looks good with both. I personally prefer a sponge, but if you are a brush gal, you know that it's a winner. The packaging I do like. I like how it comes in a pump. The pumps are pretty small though, so I felt like I kept on having to squeeze out more, and I feel like it was not a wasted product, but it was just like a little bit much. But I am a medium to full coverage kind of gal, so depending on what you like, you might use less product. If you're looking for a more light coverage, I definitely feel like you can get away with that. In the first initial swatch, I covered like basically my entire cheek, and it wasn't too heavy of a coverage, which if you are a light coverage kind of a gal, I feel like this could also work really well for you. Take a shot every time I say coverage, please. For oxidation, I do have it swatched on the back of my hand, and I don't know if it's just because it has a buildup of product, but it does look like it oxidizes a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see that, but it does look a little bit darker than what is in here, but I feel like you guys can barely see that. Oh, that's better. As for the concealer, I also feel like I picked a pretty good match for a highlighting shade. This is in shade 30. I also was not expecting the wand to be like this, and I'm actually a pretty big fan of it. It doesn't deposit that much product, which I feel like is a guilty pleasure in the beauty community, because we like to glob on concealer when really you don't need that much. So I like how the applicator kind of dispenses product, not dispenses, but like applies product in a pretty minimal way, and it's always buildable. Like I showed you, it does apply with both a sponge and a brush. I find that there's no difference between the application with that because it looks the same. And so far it's not drying at all. I know I bake, and I know as soon as I start baking, sometimes foundations tend to get more dry, but it feels really good because it is a like natural finish. So we'll see how this wears throughout the day. But so far I am loving these, and I did not expect to love these as much as I do right now. We are going to monitor how it looks throughout the day. I do have an oily T-zone and normal to dry everywhere else, and I do get really bad sinkage in my smile line, so that's probably the number one thing we're going to look out for is the smile lines and the oiliness. But it is now 8:59, so 9 o'clock in the morning. I have some things to do today. I'm actually going to a farmer's market with a friend for a class, and we're gonna be out and about in the sun. So yeah, it's 9 o'clock. I'll see you guys in a couple hours. It is now 12:32. Look at my little baby. Look at my little baby right there. It is 12:30, so I've had this on for, what time did I put this on? 9, 10, 11, 12. So like 3.5 hours, and I do gotta say it's holding up quite nicely. Let's zoom you guys in. Please ignore my crusty lips because they're always there. Like I said, I am very cautious about my smile lines. As you can tell, there's like barely any sinkage. I do get more sinkage on this side. I probably because I do this, or like, you know, I favor this side. I do have a little bit right here, but that's like nothing compared to other foundations that I've tried. But this is what it looks like. So far, I am not that oily, which is great. I was out in the sun. I went to a farmer's market, and I was just like walking around the streets of San Diego. I had to do some errands and whatnot. So I have been out and about. I did take some natural light photos, which I will insert them right here. And those errands were all that I had planned for the day, so I think I'm just going to probably hole up in my room and do some homework and just keep it on for another couple of hours. I think that is it for this check-in. So far, so good. 3.5 hours in, and I'm still looking pretty fresh, so definitely did not expect that. All right, you guys, I am back. It is now 4:53, so almost 5 p.m., which means I've had this foundation on for about 8 hours, which is crazy. My day went by so fast. Let's zoom you guys in again so you can see how my face looks up close. I do have to say it looks almost similar to my second check-in, and I'm touching like my forehead and my nose, which are areas that usually get pretty oily and there's no transfer coming off on my fingers at all. I don't feel greasy like in the slightest, which is amazing. You can still tell that it is sinking a little bit into the smile lines, but most of my foundations do that. For the most part, it looks really, really good, and I'm very pleasantly surprised with how well this is performing because Revlon is just not a brand that's on my radar. So like I said, I'm just super surprised that this is performing so well, both the foundation and the concealer. I feel like they're almost the exact same formula, minus the caffeine that's added into the concealer. I don't really think that it did much to my under eyes. Honestly, I mean, I don't really have puffy under eyes to begin with, so I can't really hold that accountable. I can really only speak to like the coverage and the wear time, which honestly, like both of them are pretty stinking amazing. But my final thoughts on these are they are very buildable in coverage. I love how you can use it with a sponge or a brush. They both look flawless either way. The consistency is a bit thicker than other foundations, but if you are a full coverage type of person like I am, I don't think you'll mind that. And if you use less product, you can kind of disperse that all over the face for a thinner coverage. And it is pretty lightweight. I have probably 3 or 4 pumps on my face right now, and it's pretty full coverage and it doesn't feel heavy even after 8 hours, which is amazing. And I was in the sun like walking and running errands all day. This just exceeds my expectations. I love how there's no fragrance. Price point is awesome for both of these. I really do think the claim of natural finish is true. I don't really think I look too dewy or too matte because I love my NYX Can't Stop Won't Stop and my Hailey's foundation, and those two are super, super matte, and this feels a lot more like skin in my opinion. I also think 31 shades for a drugstore foundation is pretty awesome. 31 is an odd number. I don't know why they just didn't do 30, but I mean, hey, the more the merrier, I guess. Like I said, I have an oily T-zone and normal to dry everywhere else, and it works for both of those areas, and I feel like it controls my oils pretty well. So if you are more on the oilier side, I definitely think that this could work for you. If you're super oily, I'm not sure, but I think you can make it work if you powder and bake. And with all that being spewed out, I don't really have any other thoughts other than I think this foundation and concealer is a winner. So if you've been wanting to get your hands on it, I definitely would recommend. And those are all my thoughts. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload a new video, which is every Wednesday and Sunday at 8 p.m. PST. And with that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, thumbs up, all that good, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.